Do you see it?
Thing.
Test, test, test.
Yes.
Hello, hello.
It's a little over. So again, just you can see.
Hello, hello. This is a test. We're at My Film with Andrei. We're Potsdamer Platz. Caro, are you excited?
Oh, I'm totally excited. It's such a bright day outside, but I'm so happy to spend it in a dark room.
Yeah.
In the dark room. Yes.
Yeah. I have a bet that the film will not end up in a sex club actually, and we will see no naked people at all.
Are we going to see naked people?
I really hope so. I got out of bed for nothing. I'm very excited to see what Ioto has made. He's a very dark horse.
I do wonder if there's any common themes.
Are you guys here for the movie? So are you excited?
Very, very. I heard about this weeks in advance, so the pent-up excitement is almost the bursting point.
A friend who is a film nut told me to come watch a documentary about people shagging, so I thought that's a good way to spend a Sunday.
Have you been to a sex party before?
No, I didn't been to a sex party. I wish I did get invited to more sex parties, though. I'm invited to like children's birthdays instead. It's kind of...
Maybe today that changes for you.
I hope so. This is for anyone watching. Please invite me to a sex party. I will bring tea and cookies.
Hi. Hello, hello. Have you been to a sex party before?
Been to a sex party, yes.
So, do you think we're going to see sex today?
I didn't thought about it. I just saw like this preview. I think it's more like the after the sex party. I that's my impression of it. Like what it makes with you, what you think about, how you felt. Yeah.
I mean, I've been to a sex party before also, but...
Have you seen the trailer?
Actually not. I just got the message this morning when I was waking up. Do you want to go to a film with me? And I was like, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm really excited what's going to come up. And so it's hard for me to tell anything about it or I don't have too much expectations.
It's a very tantric way of going into it.
Are we going to see sex?
Hi, good to see you. Beautiful posters. This is the man who designed the posters. They're incredible. So have you seen the film yet?
Not yet. Just a few excerpts. So I'm pretty excited and curious.
Yes. Yeah. Filmmaker, are you nervous?
Yes, but I've already shit my pants yesterday, so that's the ongoing theme.
This is Jenny. She's in the film.
I'm in the film. I'm Jenny.
Her love story is charted. It's a beautiful story.
You will see.
These are the posters designed by Tim and Tim. Which is your favorite?
Like black and white bow. I don't know. I have to still this one because he has his face on it.
Yes. We're entering the cinema. Okay. So, what happened to the sex?
I mean, the whole thing, like, you've all been tricked to come. The secret story about this is actually a giant, sad, gay romance between me and another man.
What happened?
Well, there was like, you don't have to catch you up with all the shit that's happening in the world and blah, blah, blah. But I was having a very difficult interaction with a very close friend of mine. And at some point, the level of denial and the defense mechanism to function in his world caused he had a choice, in my opinion, to either admit to himself the reality that I'm poking on, or he had to retreat to maintain the kind of illusions that was going on in his life, and he chose the latter. And I'm not here trying to make this grand statement about whatever, like, you gotta believe this or that. This is all really petty. It's just like, fuck you. Because the friend, he refused to talk to me after this, I wanted to express and talk about the things that was bothering me.
What was bothering you?
Everything, like my experience as an Asian man, my experiences in terms of sexuality. In my opinion, all the things that we all kind of touch on, but we have things that's like, what is appropriate, what is not? What do we present to each other? What do we keep to ourselves? And I find that this is a really problematic, I think this is a much bigger problem than whatever you see on the news, is that like there's all this crazy shit happening in your own life that you can't face and deal. So you start telling people, or you're telling yourself like, no, it's not this, it's not that. And it starts from there. So this film started because my friend ghosted me I was like, fuck you. I'm gonna fucking, I'll tell you what it's, whatever. And I started making a podcast. I decided to make this film. And I knew that if I tried to make this fucking thing about like, hey, you know, you come and let me tell you about racism. Let me tell you what I fucking had to go. It's like, nobody wants to fucking hear. Who wants to hear that?
So this film's about you.
It's all about me. It's like, fuck you guys. You know, because and then that was the thing, you know? It's like, I went through like a whole fucking trip this year because it was like, and I get it. Like, there's so much shit in the world. Like, it's not like, I don't want to hear about your pains and whatever. Because, you know, whatever, I got my own fucking problems. I can't deal with you. And everybody's just overloaded. And at the same time, there are these issues. And it's like, we don't need another, you know, like every person has something to sell you. Like, oh, come do this, come do that, donate this, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, fuck off. I guess this is a bit elaborate to tell my friend, like, you should pick up your phone and just fucking talk to me. Like,
He's part of a whole different system. You used to be too.
I used to be in that very same system, you know, and I think that's precisely the pain that I know what that it's like to have to wake up and participate in all this shit, you know, like, you know, you have your job or you have your illusion and you have all of the people that you have to present yourself to, and then it comes back down to like, okay, well, the environment's collapsing and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what the fuck am I doing every day? You know, like, what is this shit? So it's like, you know, you got a decision to make. And it's like, do I pay the mortgage, feed the kids? Or, you know, it's not so easy to answer. But I realized doing this, the side effect is that I think there's more questions and you know, I get to look at myself. And the other thing was too, like, you know, this idea of Asian representation that, you know, it's like, okay, say there is this thing out against me, right? Well, then go, fuck it. Like, let me do my own shitty film, you know? No one, if I don't ask for permission, or like no one can tell me I can't. I just do it. Email these guys, Arsenal, and be like, yo, can I show my film? They said, yes. Just bring your file. Okay. You guys can come. That's it, you know? We did a movie. We did it. So.
We did it.
Yeah, and then, you know, there's also the people there, like, you know, they're here in the film. Jenny, Raul, if you want to stand up and embarrass yourself a bit. A lot of the other guys are in Portugal. They send their regards. They got a bit nervous, couldn't come.
So let's open up for some questions.
Yeah.
I have a question rather on the material, like the decision making on which type of, when you use color, what type of film you use, the black and white and the mixture of the, I don't know, the form and the music. Because there's only sometimes music and then it's very loud and it's nearly like a parody at sometimes to me it seemed. So yes, I'm interested in all this aesthetical decision making.
A big part, you know, I used to do a lot of other kind of jobs and like there's a lot of stress, you know, like you learn all these things and you got to do things the right way. And, you know, especially here in Germany, everything's done very correct. And eventually that builds up this kind of stress in you, you know, and you get distracted by what is the thing that is in front of you. And so the containment for this film, I realized it was not about getting the perfect script or the perfect people or the perfect situation. And I said, no, there's 7 days. I think it's actually 5, but whatever. There's Andrei's birthday and that's it, you know, and whatever gets done, gets done. It was just me with my phone and it was all very crap. And
Boom's attached to the phone.
Yeah, there was like a mic attached to it. And it's all very horrible. And I'm looking at this and just think, this is so bad. This is so embarrassing. This is terrible. I'm such a fucking failure. But like, you know, just do this thing. And then I sat down at home and tried to edit it because I gave myself this thing like, no, I'm going to make a film out of this. And then I just had fun with it, you know. So my heroes are like Chantal Ackerman and Agnes Varda. And Agnes Varda was talking about, you have these things like fade to black. Why always fade to black? Why can't you fade to color? Or fade? And it's like, so, you know, we're in this day where it's like all these companies saying like, oh, you could do whatever you want, you know. And then everyone's like, I got to get that film stock from, who gives a shit? Yeah, you all sat through this and watched it, and then I've worked a lot with different kind of films and different things, and it's like, at the end, it's all kind of, it's fun. You could just kind of play around with it. So that was my approach to it. And of course, there was the thing like, yes, like there's the talking and that's the black and white part. And then there are these moments where I felt like it was really nice to kind of, you suddenly, you stop and then you realize like, fuck, there's this world out there. You know, like when Jenny and Raoul goes to gardening. And every time I watch it, I'm like tripping out like, fuck, that's crazy. But then at the same time, I think it's important not to get lost in that. And then you comes back to like Fabian tripping about like fucking girly and, you know, like shit's fucked up. But you also can't get stuck on any of these things, you know? And so I guess that was my thing of like trying to have it so that you don't get so lost in this one thing I'm selling you, like, oh, it's about life. Yeah, and then the music, the same thing. This friend of mine, he's a musician, and he actually taught me a lot of stuff. But I also learned music, but I just never did anything. And I just said, okay, I got no money to pay for somebody and for people to do whatever. I just do it all myself. And sitting through, I don't know how it is for you guys, but like watching Andrei every fucking time, this guy drives me nuts. But I realize this is like I'm paying money to do this. I don't have to hang out with him. I don't have to watch it, but I get off on watching him. And it's not that I agree or disagree with him. I just think, and at a certain point I felt this resentment in me. Like for the sake of the film, I had to shut up and just let him talk. But at the same time, I was like, you fucking idiot. But I thought like, you know, if this film shouldn't be like just this like romantic shit of like Jenny and Aru, what a beautiful couple, you know? But it's like, the climax is this thing with Andrei, and he just goes on, and that's kind of like in a way what we're paying here to like masochistically torture ourselves with this kind of bullshit. But within that, there's some kind of weird, I don't know if it's the disgust I have with myself. There's like, yes, there is something in me that, so that's that. So that when you say parody, yes, there is this like, you know, that was my way to deal with my own resentment towards this man. Like, fuck you. So I'm sitting there at home, like making this music, like, because, you know, the foundations of this guy, and then the way I look at the terribleness is like, you know, you watch a lot of these videos of like people before they go and kill people. You know, like old videos, footages of like some
Making of a fascist.
Yeah, the making of a fascist. You know, they have like, yes, we got this fucking theory about the world, and we're gonna do. This is that. I was like, holy shit, you know, like in some parallel universe, if he had more resource or some whatever fuck, you know, like next thing you know, there's a fucking genocide, and it's like, oh yeah, look, we got this video of this guy back in the days, starting to really trip out. I'm not saying that happened. I think I see a bit of me in that too, you know. It's just like, Jesus Christ, like, gotta calm down. So that's I don't know if I answered that fucking question or not.
Yes, thank you. I asked because you started with the Walter Benjamin's quote, and you show a lot of media reflexivity, and also we know your pretty aesthetical fashion work, so that's why I asked this question about the decision making.
I'm really interested. Why did you choose to show this film in the Arsenal, and if you plan to submit it to film festivals?
I love this place. It's so good, and they were really nice. I emailed a bunch of people, you know, because I thought like I miss the cinema, and with COVID and everything. And then COVID's not the only reason. It's like, come on, this whole industry's fucked. Like, what the fuck are they showing? Like, excuse me, Netflix. What a fucking load of shit. Netflix, the epitome of garbage that we've accomplished to, you know, corporatism, corporate fascism. And I really appreciate Germany and Berlin and Arsenal. They're not paying me to do this, saying this. But how it went was, I was like, fuck, okay, I got this piece of shit film and I want to show it. And I just email a bunch, I just Google like Berlin cinema rental. And, you know, like this was one of the places. And I just emailed them. I was like, dear Arsenal, can I show my film? Yes. Would you like to come and inspect? I said, yes. And then I came, Susanna was like, here is the screen. I said, great. Would you like to see the screen open? I said, yes. She opened, I was like, fantastic, you know? Let's do business like this. So there's one at Il Kino, which is showing next week. And it's just, it's like a little family business, you know? Like, it's like bringing it back to like, I like the cinema, like, and I realized it's not about going to see fucking X-Men and celebrities fucking hammering each other. It's like, we get to look at ourselves, you know? And there's this, we've done so much in our human whatever shit. And this place, with all your tax dollars, has constructed this beautiful place. And why should it be reserved for some weird people in the castle in the sky. Like, and it's so great. Like you can come here, you can come look at, pay $10, you know, it's not very alienating, you know, and then you come and you look at it and you say, well, I agree or I don't disagree. And you go home and you think about it. I really miss that. And then going back to your question of the festivals, you know, it's like, I've been trying to do this for years. I'm like, oh, you know, it would be great to make a movie, blah, blah. And then it's like, there's just so much fucking hurdles to get through. And with the festivals, it's like, it's a fucking con. This is a scam. You know, like with the festivals has become this giant insider crap where you keep withholding stuff and who the fuck goes to a festival? Yeah, so this is, I mean.
Said we're applying to at least 3.
Yeah, we'll apply. We'll do it. It's great. It's great that people distribute and whatever, because it's a pain in the ass to do this myself and come here and be like, please. So yeah, I will try. But I do think, you know, it goes like the same with the painters and all that shit. Like, who are the painters that whatever, the impressionistic and like that whole shit was like, we don't want to be a part of this thing because we can't get in. You know, what was it, Picasso or whoever, fuck, you know, they just said they make their own thing. I don't want to be part of this. So that's me. And, you know, I've done many years where I used to work in New York. I used to do all these things. And it's like, you just have to, you know, beg and you get nowhere. And so it's like, but here, you know, it's like direct. I got a phone. I filmed these beautiful friends of mine. And I don't agree with everything they say. And I got you guys to come, you know, you can give $10 with proceeds, get the lights, electricity paying, and you know, we're sitting here and it's like done. Took like 3 months.
Yeah, my question is actually, I think despite the irony and a lot of estrangement effects, elements, there is a clear perspective on or from men who are speaking. And often, I mean, the first 2/3 of the film, I think women actually just appear together in a frame with men. And maybe the last dialogue with a woman, I forgot her name, sorry, but
Charlotte.
Yeah, thanks. Kind of slightly balances this, but actually, yeah, the man's speech, I don't know, is it partly an identification? How is it actually for you? Why did you decide to give male such an agency? Obviously, cis male, who sometimes even reflect themselves as such.
It's very intentional. Like, you know, I don't know if you know Chantal Ackerman and her works, and she always refused to be part of any. She's also regarded as like the feminist filmmaker, but she always refused to be a part of any feminist film festival. Like, I'm going to be in a film festival. I'm not going to be in a feminist film festival. And for me, growing up, it took me a lot of work and understanding to kind of like see myself. I grew up with this understanding of a man. You know, it's like what Fabian was saying. It's like there's a lot of guilt, and you feel really bad about being a man and do all these things. And you look around, and now it's like, this is not about to discuss, I'm not here going to discuss like whatever, patriarchy or women's rights. I think there's a lot of fucked up things. But it's like, I realized that it was a cop-out. If I was to go around and going, you know, women, you're suffering, you're doing this, and I realized that was such a load of crap, because in the end, it was not really about me caring about whatever, women's stuff. It was a way for me to be nice and to, you know. And then I realized that, hey, I've got my own weird shit. And men have a lot of weird stuff. And just because they're talking doesn't mean that they have the power. Like, it's hilarious. It's like, look at these idiots. And if I'm just going to be another one of the, you know, a million fucking voices now, because now it's like, it's capitalism. Everyone's going to capitalize on like, Gillette. Oh, we're going to hear the women's voices. Buy our razors. It's like, fuck you. Like, this is such crap. And I realized for me, I had my own honesty that I had to confront and deal with. That was one part. The next point is that the issue and we're trying to fight the patriarchy or whatever. And I get that. On the other hand, if you start digging in, because I'm like, I don't experience this benefits of being a man. I mean, it depends. You know, you start looking into intersectionality. Well, Asian man in a Western world, am I the asshole? I don't get benefits. I'm fucked most of the time. You know, like, it's this fucking silent group. And I realized it's not, I'm not. It's also really difficult because you don't want to be out here like, even as a woman, you know, like be like always going with the victim mode. It's at some point you're gonna have to ask yourself like, do I even believe what I'm saying? So this is really my way of dealing with that, dealing with myself, and hopefully for me to look at like my own absurdity. Am I really the victim? You know, and what is man? What, you know, are men really? Is patriarchy always the thing that is complete? Like, you got to have some agency too.
After the first screening, we did an informal one with members of the cast here. It was really palpable, this feeling among the women. That was like they had really seen these men who they know in a very different light, that they didn't know these inner thoughts, these inner workings about them so much. And I had this experience as well, but it was like we could look at them in a way that was without the projection of what men, cis men, toxic masculinity, all this is. That it gave like, yeah, you just... What was the thing? It was like, just like we were all sitting back and kind of like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know you had those thoughts. I didn't know you felt like that. We fuck, or, you know, we have an intimate relationship and I know a lot about you, but I had no idea about this stuff.
Yeah, it's gotten to a point where right now, like, there are men out there with thoughts. Who would have known? Men are terrified. Yeah. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, and probably it's good that, some people feel a little bit of terror sometimes, but they have their thoughts. And if we're just gonna have so much of this kind of thing where, like, you know, you only preach to the choir. If you don't agree with what I'm saying with you, you're just not gonna know. You're gonna sit at home and only have people that agree with you, and it's fucking difficult to sit there and look at Andrei. God, I had to sit and look at his face, and it's not easy to just like take it in and think about it. And the thing is with men, here's the thing. There are men out there that will say whatever you want because they want to get in your pants.
But what happens when they're not trying to get in your pants?
They have these thoughts. So I think this is a good way to kind of like come and you can like, you know, from a safe distance, observe these beasts.
I was wondering, like, a lot of people were laughing at a lot of points, and maybe I'm lacking the humor. I was actually crying at some point. So I was just wondering how you take those reactions in, because that's the thing that happens when you put a film out there, when it's actually public, you get to see reactions. And what does that do to you?
I really love this. You guys should make your own film and come to this. It's like, you know, I also watching with the guys that was in the film, I also realized like this. Look, you can sit at home and watch Netflix alone or with your date or whatever, but it's not the same thing. Like, you sit here, and if you're a little bit of empathy in you, you can't help but feel that there are other people here with different things, and everybody's got their own thing. You know, they've got their own feelings, and you might see something because you're in a particular place in your life and whatever, and that's what it reaches you. And then it's nice to see that like other people don't care. Or other people don't feel that, or they have their own experience. And then what's nice about that is like, it's almost like the opposite of where this kind of over-psychologizing century we went through, where it's like, yes, your trauma is real and it's all about you. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like you get so lost in your own thing, and sometimes it's like, it's good to see like, those guys are laughing. I'm here crying. Dying, and this person's fucking laughing. Like, shut up. And that's kind of nice. And like, I think with COVID, we kind of lost a lot of that, you know, like we could just sit together and realize like, man, I'm fucking weird at home, tripping out and having my own thing. And it's nice sometimes you can do that. But that, I really enjoyed it. I really love that you guys all came. I mean, I'm also like, this is like the 1,000th time I've seen it, but I'm still like laughing and crying like, oh my God. But yeah, it's nice. It's really nice.
I want to ask you, which parts made you cry, or when were you crying?
I was just sharing the experience with Raoul, with pain, and I just went through some journey there, listening to that monologue.
Since you're living here in Berlin, I mean, the whole movie, of course, is being directed in Berlin. Everything was also about. I felt a bit also more about the city vibration, the actors in the city, the guys who came to Berlin, everything. how was the impact of it of the environment in Berlin in terms of like emotions, the scene, which is also kind of a scene for certain people who are never been participating on an event like that. Have you ever been imagined to direct a movie like this in another city? Ever, since you came also, you said it already, from New York, which is a totally different vibe, but have you ever been imagined to do something like this also in another city? Because it's really reflecting a little bit more the feeling of this town in a way. There's kind of a lost and engaging together.
There's a thing with exotification, right? That maybe humans are, I don't know, maybe it's with all the culture and media that we've been through, but it's like this idea is life is somewhere else. And, you know, here in Berlin, I've been here for 4 years. Sounds like some Alcoholic Anonymous thing. Hi, my name's Ayoto.
Been in Berlin for 4 years.
But it's you know, like, it's tricky because, look, I was born in Taiwan, and this is as much as exotic as it could possibly get. And yet at the same time, there's a kind of realization that I had. It's like, you know, you want to make this film, you want to go far, you want to be an adventurer, you want to go to fucking Africa, you want to go outer space. But then with the COVID thing, there was also limitations and confrontations with my own ego. It's like, dude, you got no money. And where are you going to go? What are you going to do? I had to fight for this because I had to wake up in the morning. I had to do something. And so it was just right in front of my house. Andrei will call me up, be like, yo, all right, motherfucker, I'm going to film you. And there's something beautiful about that, where it's just like, where I stopped trying to go somewhere else. I have a friend, a very dear friend, Tom, but he said to me on my 30th birthday, he said, in your 20s, you're going to go and look for stuff outside. But there's a point where you're going to realize everything is in here. And that's not so, that sounds like some really nice spiritual shit that you can get off on. But it's like, it took me like 6 years to understand what that means. And the disappointment was what I was trying to get at. The fucking disappointment. But at the same time, on the other side of that is like something so beautiful. It's like, you don't need to do all these other things.
Within the past 24 hours, yes.
Yes, within the past 24 hours, yes. Yes. Very good final question. Thank you again for coming.
Found out about it because I'm following, I think, on Instagram some people which are related to the IPSK, and I also started going there like more often lately. And then I found you, and I was very interested because I'm Romanian, and I saw you were making a movie about a Romanian guy. So I was like, okay, I need to check this out. I came here thinking it was about it was about a sex party, but it was, very non-conventional. And I felt like I was more in a therapy session than like watching a movie, because the approach you had to the whole thing was something else, other than you are used to see like in normal. So you see the people, you see them talking, you hear them, then you can relate to it. It's like seeing you somehow, and I think also the experience that Raul was talking about, or Andrei, we shared them because we walked from the same place, so it was quite emotional for me at all. I also cried, but it did me good. It was really, really good. I feel honored actually to thank you.
I think it was interesting for me because I've been quite involved in the kink community in New York. I used to live there, and it was kind of wondering in my head as I was watching, for me there was a lot that resonated in some of these dialogues. I also have friends who live in their vans, kind of chosen to live a less conventional life. And so I just kept experiencing all of these parallels, and it felt very personal, which also spoke to me when you were talking about kind of what it means to see ourselves on film versus these kind of totally different narratives and conventional movies. And yet being here, I was under the original assumption that the audience would kind of have that same connection, especially because Berlin is thought of as being more stereotypically this is part of the zeitgeist. And yet I don't actually really know that, was a lot of the people in the audience, were they feeling that way and that identification, or was it more of an outsider in on this weird lifestyle, right? Because it's not weird to me, but really for the reality for most people it is. It's not normal to live your life that way.
So I think that was like the biggest and most interesting takeaway for me, was like that kind of dichotomy.
I loved it. I loved its rawness and the reflection of the people. And even though I know you're very critical with yourself as an artist, it really touched me.
I don't want to say like changed me, but like it really like was a new thought and it was a new experience.
I'm not sure about it so far, to be honest, but I liked a lot of parts, but there were some parts that really like fucked me off, but that's what you wanted me to feel, so exactly what you said, like when you were like...
What did you feel fucked up about?
Like I have my own problems, this is just your point of view, and then there were like some parts, for example, when Raoul was talking about that pain BDSM stuff, like this is exactly what I don't really like, because I think you can enjoy BDSM stuff and enjoy it without being traumatized or stuff. It is fun sometimes, the pain, and there's not always mental suffering stuff involved, but yeah, I'm gonna keep thinking about it.
What did you think of the movie?
First of all, I think that was not a disappointment at all. And
it was worth $10.
Definitely. Definitely. A lot to process though. So I still feel like I didn't fully understood all the scenes, and I have to go to bed.
You can buy the DVD.
So, your first film just premiered at Arsenal Berlin. How do you feel?
I think I need to have a nap.
Paul, did you enjoy it?
Yes, I enjoyed it.
What did you like most about it?
The music. I really like the music. And Fabian is really good at speaking. He talks really well, like really precise, and it's good one. And I can reflect a bit because he's Bavarian and I'm Bavarian. So.
Something for everybody. Bring the family and your mother.
It's PG.
When you come to Berlin, you make a film and force people to come watch it. Now everybody's gone. It's back to the depression of nothingness. Is there life after a screening? Where's this locker of yours? Ah, civilized people. These lockers are very nice.